It's time for Transport Line, the program that showcases the contributions of all modes of transportation to the socio-economic growth and development of our nation, Africa, and the world at large. Transport Line is being transmitted from the Center of Excellence, the state of aquatic splendor, and Africa's fifth largest economy, Lagos. I am Shina Ilegbede. The Lagos State Commissioner for Environment has alerted the citizenry that from April to the tail end of the year, we are going to experience more rainfall in this part of the country. In essence, that means whether we like it or not, the socio-economic life of the people will be impacted. So, the impact we are going to look at has to do with transport line. Transport line, transportation, road modes of transportation. And that is our focus today. So how do we commute in such an inclement environment? Remember, road mode of transportation is the most patronized in this part of the country and nationally. So our focus is, how do we do this? I have with me in the studio an automobile expert who is going to counsel us on the way we do it. Be you in your private owned vehicles or you are commuting in public transportation. That person is Olumide Awoshina. Olumide, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Like I said, Olumide is going to counsel us. So let's start with you, private car owner. How do you commute in a heavily flooded or in a rainy environment? Olumide?
Okay, sir. The thing is, just like the Boy Scouts will say, be prepared.
Yeah, be prepared.
And since the Commissioner for Environment, especially in Lagos, has alerted people and given them an idea of how the rainfall, and there's going to be large rainfall in Lagos, more than from now to the end of.
Yeah.
So for people to be prepared, what we would advise is for car owners, so that they don't become stranded, so that they don't become also a menace to other road users, because that is very important. People have to make sure that, for example, or let's start with their windshields, because that's where they are facing, has to be clean at all times. Their wipers, wiper blades, if it's already making noise, it is already showing that wear and tear, so they have to replace them. And all these things are not really something that can break. You don't need to break bank for you to do these things, because most of the things that we do for safety, most times, especially in our business, we do what we call preventive maintenance. So we prevent a breakdown. So we would advise car owners, even commercial bus drivers, anybody using any mode of transportation, especially at this period, to ensure that their wipers are good. Their brake pads are also, their brake system, brake pad, either they need to build their brake, maybe whatever they need to do. Make sure the braking system is also perfect, because you know when the roads are wet and slippery, when you step on the brake, it's likely to still be you sliding, because at that point in time, that traction will not be as effective as at when the roads are dry. Though they are doing cars these days that have different types of, because one of the things that car owners or car manufacturers do, safety is one very important thing. If there's going to be a recall now, it's going to be on the safety issue. Any recall you see has to do with safety. So we advise people to let their tires to have enough tread, so that it can, for them to be able to, for that, if the tread is gone, they need to replace the tires. People need to make sure that their headlamps, their light system, the headlamps, the trafficators, because those are the things that can cause, if, for example, if somebody wants to make a turn and you can't see the trafficator, maybe it's faded or anything that is happening, you have to ensure that those things are in top working condition. Also, one of the things that people need to also take care of is the battery of the vehicle. Because at this time, when it's raining, we can have a clear weather now. When it's going to rain, everywhere becomes cloudy. So you have to make use of the light. So which means that your battery has to come into more work. Maybe you need to put on the hazard light to let people that are before you to know. Then, or people behind you, so that they know that somebody is in front of them. You also advise that, because you can't see, there might be breakdowns. We'd advise people to have either raincoats, rain boots, tow ropes for them to be able to tow at this period if they need. Then we also advise people that when you're driving, before, when the weather is clear and you can see clearly, during this rainy period, don't tailgate anybody. Give enough room, because the person in front of you might suddenly apply the brakes. So for you to react on time, if you give the person enough space, don't overspeed.
So safe driving distance must be properly maintained.
Yes, they must maintain safe driving distance. Because that is one way to avoid either you having a rear collision with somebody. You have to be able to apply your brakes on time. Then when you see flooded areas, would advise that you don't have to drive with speed. You just try, because it's possible for you, that water, the level, water is one very powerful, people don't know. They think water is very powerful. So if you rush inside the flood, your car could be lifted up. So you have to watch and see, maybe if possible, if it's a road that you ply all the time, you might be able to know, okay, this is the flood level, maybe be able to envisage how it will be. If not, if you enter the flood, especially on a road that you don't know, your car can just suddenly stop on the road. And also, it might make you lose control of your driving, because when your car is lifted up, if water, we've seen instances where water will just lift your car up. At that point in time, you are not the one controlling the car again. The car is going anywhere that the water wants to take you to at that point in time. So these are part of the things. There are brake lights for people to be able to see your parking, because when you put on your headlamps, there's some light that will show. It's not the brake light. Those rear lights. Yes. So that everything is working perfectly for you to ensure you must make sure that at this period in time, you have, if possible, a touch light, because if the weather is cold, maybe you need to flag people down. Your sea caution is there in your car for you to be able to warn people, assuming that your car breaks down on the road. Those are part of the things people need to take care of and ensure that at this period, in preparation for the rain, because the rains have not started yet, but it's going to come. And when it comes, it might not give you enough room to be able to take care of these things. So if you want to enjoy a good driving period, season, as in during the rainy season, it will be advisable that some of these things are taken care of before the rain starts.
Olumide, how relevant is the issue of speed limit? You have some roads, you have 80 kilometers per hour, 60 kilometers per hour. Does one keep to that speed limit or go down? It
will be advisable for them not to even get to that speed limit, because the speed limit is mostly for normal driving conditions. So if you see a road that is saying 100 kilometers per hour, that is meant to be for when the road is dry, the weather is clearer, you can see. That's why even at night, it will be advisable for you if they say the speed limit is 100 kilometers. If you do 70, 75, so that if anything, if something happens suddenly, you're able to react on time. Because speed limit means that is the limit. There is nothing that says, or it is advisable that you should be below that speed limit. Because that way, because when you get to, it's just like when you talk about alcohol level. When people do this breathalyzer tests. When people do breathalyzer, there is a limit. Now you can either be close to. So once some people are saying, okay, and you know our body system reacts differently. Same way with our reflex system. People, you realize at times, some people, their eyesight, because that's also one very important thing. Somebody whose eyesight is not that good and is trying to say, okay, I am at the speed limit of 100 kilometers and cannot see further, either short-sightedness or whatever sightedness it is, and you now want to be at the, say, okay, you are still within the speed limit. No, because you know those limitations that you have. You have to stay below that speed limit so that you are able to control and react on time. Because accidents, within the split of an lives are lost. It doesn't warn you. Or maybe you have a burst tire. Some people, their reaction to it, you just see, you say, I just saw this car. And you see people lying on it. So it is very important. That's the reason why traffic offenses are one of the greatest offenses that in advanced countries they take very serious. Because before you know what, you've lives gone. That's why you will see that if somebody, no matter what happens, if somebody use a car to either hit somebody, they say, oh, the person just entered the road. It's manslaughter. Because you have to have duty of care. You have to understand how people, because anything can happen. You have to, when you're driving, you have to take note of the person driving in front of you, the person coming behind you. That's part of defensive driving for those that have gone for defensive driving skills. So you have to take note of you say, but the person is coming from my back. No, that the inner mirror is meant for you to be able to anticipate and say, oh, this person is getting too close. Either you leave the road for the person or you move further away from the person, because you never can see the person's brake might have failed, and you see the car coming and you're like, but it's behind me. It's not about talking about right, because the person can hit your car, have that rear collision. You've seen instances where people have rear collision and their spine is gone. So it is always very important for us to take care of ourselves and also be mindful of other road users. Because one of the things that happen is, if you are your brother's keeper or your sister's keeper, you will take care of yourself and also try to avoid them either hurting you or you getting hurt.
Olumide, you mentioned you raised the issue of burst tires.
Yes, sir.
And this brings to mind the issue of brand new tires, Tokubo tires, especially in this so-called hard time. But when you're talking about safety and security of life, what do you advise, irrespective of whether times are hard? The pocket is not that friendly.
The truth of the matter is that there is no value, there is no amount of money you can't say somebody's life is worth this amount of money. Because you will realize that most times, that's why even tires, they have a lifespan, 3 years, 4 years. So if you buy a tire that is 3 years or 4, I believe maybe you could be planning. So okay, maybe this tire, maybe, because part of what causes you losing traction depends also on your driving habits. Somebody can use a tire in 1 year and the tire is gone. Either with the way they are speeding, they are moving, their movement, their takeoff. You see tire skid marks on the road. Those are part of the things that affect the tear and wear. You see a driver, he's already seen an obstacle in front of him. He has not started reducing his speed. It's when he's there, so or you see a bump.
To be able to anticipate.
That is part of that's part of your reflex action. Some people get carried away. Some people don't even know how to read road signs. Because you see a bump on the road, most times, though in this climate at times, you might not see a sign telling you there is a bump. So when you are now getting close to the bump, you are now applying your brake. So maybe somebody, and you know that thing is a ripple effect. If you're speeding and maybe there is a bump or an obstacle on the road, if the person behind you has not given you enough time, that's why you see there are multiple accidents that are happening. It's because somebody has said, okay, he stepped on his brake, maybe the other person behind, the brake might not be effective, or he saw it late. And some people, they are, reflex action is some people, when they react, they make noise, they don't take action. So when something happens at times, you see people shout. Instead of them to apply a brake, some of them are so scared that it's even the accelerator they will step on. So you have to understand the way you react. And if you're within a speed limit or you're taking care, most of the accidents that happen are very, very avoidable.
Again, if you are burst tires, applying the brakes, what does one do? You are speeding.
Yes.
Average of even let's say 60, 80 kilometers per hour.
Yes.
Suddenly, you experience a burst tire.
Yes.
What should be the ideal thing to do?
When you have a burst tire while on speed, you don't step on the brake. You reduce your speed and hold on to your steering and maneuver till the car has been able to, because if you step on the brake, most times the car will somersault. So when that happens, all you need to do, put your gear in neutral, now start managing the steering. That way until you find a place to now park properly. If it's on the left hand side you've been before, maybe you are on the fast lane. So once, because I know once that sounds, every other car people, they give you space for you to be able to perform and be able to now find and stay by the curb, by the side, for you to park properly and change your tires.
So the rule is never apply the brake when you have a burst tire.
Yes. When
manage the steering
yes.
until you get the final stop.
Yes,
Fine.
that's the way it is, sir.
We, in this day and time where the economy is not friendly to most people, and again, the weather is foggy, you are driving an air-conditioned car, what do? You find out that in some cases now, people will say in order to save costs, because the liter
A liter of
per liter of PMS has gone up. Safety, yes, human safety is paramount, and it starts with you. But some people say, okay, roll down, wipe the windshield and what have you. Which do you recommend that they should do?
If your car has a functional AC, people make they have this erroneous impression that when you use AC, it makes your car consume more
fuel.
That's not true. It's not correct. The aerodynamics of a car, the aerodynamics, okay, don't let me go into all those aspects. But the thing is, your car, once your car is working perfectly, fuel consumption, you even realize that fuel consumption comes mostly when you are overspeeding. If you maintain a normal speed limit, because when you have this uneven, you take off, you break down, you move again, that's when you consume more fuel. But if you're using your AC, it doesn't make you consume fuel. So it's erroneous to think that if you put on your AC, you'll consume more fuel. No, it's wrong. Except your AC is bad. When your AC is bad, you realize that if you wound up the glass, you're going to have fog all around because of people breathing. Maybe if you have more than one person. And there's a defogger in the car, especially for the back, that can clear. You see, if you go and check your back, you see one line, those lines there. That's the defogger. So that one you can use. Then the other one, if possible, if the rain is not too heavy, because if the rain is heavy, maybe it will be advisable for you to park, for you to be safe. Let the rain go down. When the rain has gone down a little, maybe when you can reduce the glass a little so that air can be circulating, it will be advisable for you to just find a place to park if your car doesn't have AC. So that, because that defogging, in the process of you trying to wipe, you might lose control. You might just swerve to the left and a car is coming. So it's advisable to be safe than sorry.
In the Nigerian situation, it's a pity every year we spend billions of naira on road maintenance. It has become an annual ritual. Unfortunately, despite the oversight functions of the legislative arms, we've not found the necessary result out of it. So every year you have the road, majority are bad and unmotorable because of the cost of spare parts which are not manufactured in Nigeria. The cost of spare parts are high. Even so, they tell you, is it grade 1 you want, second grade you want? Then of course, the issue of the man, that's the driver, which is the most important, because he or she is in a position to manipulate the vehicle to a safer mode of driving. The issue is this. Today, yes, they tell you you have to go and capture for your driver's license. But at times, you found out that the way majority of drivers drive is not of the best of world best of practice. Take our Gitimbi road here. You have lines there which tells you broken, unbroken, and what have you.
Yeah.
Even without those unbroken lines, one should know that you don't overtake
Within
at
that
a
bend.
bend.
Yes.
But every time you see people doing it, are mostly, unfortunately, commercial bus drivers. How does one really prevent, or let me use the word, be defensive in such a situation?
So this is where the defensive type of driving comes into play. For example, maybe you've seen a car, because the idea is, it's just like you want to prove that you are right. Some people who have tried to prove that they are right or they are on their right,
They've gone beyond.
They've gone beyond. The best thing to do, avoid. If you see a driver that is overtaking where he's not overtaking, if possible,
Just
leave the
avoid
road.
it.
Because if you want to claim right, anything can happen. You will now be blaming yourself. So it's better for you, as much as we know that the Nigerian driving environment is not sanitized. But when people see that some people have this impunity for the law, they don't obey it and nothing comes from. For example, we're talking about Lagos now having maybe security cameras on the road. CCTV. I can say maybe to some, though I might not have facts, but commercial drivers, I'm not sure they are going to be part of the people that will be a part of those that, because the thing is, enforcement of the law is the most important thing.
You spoke about reorientation.
Yes, sir.
Reorientation really is a global issue in Nigeria today. Whether the citizenry, the legislature, the executive, well, I won't say much about the judiciary, because you hardly find a member of the bench driving against traffic, taking BRT lane. It's only members of the executive or the judiciary.
Or the
Executive.
legislature.
Executive or
the
legislature. Those are the two arms. You hardly find members of the judiciary doing this. And the issue is this. I think we should all realize that safety starts from you
Yes.
and I,
Yes.
which is very, very paramount.
Very, very important, sir.
We've said it, we've heard it, when it's coming. Olumide Awoshino, I thank you for finding time to come.
Thank you very much, sir.
We wish you all the best.
Yes, sir.
Now you do in your automobile business.
Yes, sir.
And that's all we are going to take on this segment of Transport Line today. But remember, try to be your brother's keeper. Be compassionate. Not only in words, not only in gifts, but do show that attitude that you care. Till next time, bye-bye for now.